we're about to have some fun.
Is this? Oh, I didn't ask because I don't want to make myself too nervous. But is this live? Or
This is live.
I
This is
figured,
live
but
on
I
the
didn't-
radio, and this is live on the internet, and this is live for the world to see.
Oh, and there's.
Hey.
Is that?
Hey.
That's gonna. Oh wow. Okay. You like it?
Yeah. So you came in on fire, naturally, and so we're just gonna get right to it. Like we're just gonna take it naturally. I know you got a lot to talk about, so.
A little.
And I know also that I know you also have to sort of let people process all this good stuff. You got a lot of information to share. And you in schools? Are you teaching?
Yep. We are. I actually have a class today at Vincent. We're at transition on Tuesdays, and then we start Samuel Morris.
Awesome, ain't that awesome?
In April. So.
Is this all girls?
All girls.
Situations y'all do?
Yep.
It's just powerful. Okay. All right, we'll get into it. I'm vaguely familiar, but I haven't experienced it obviously, but I haven't had an extensive conversation with you about it.
Yep.
And you do it with Miss Jazzy.
Miss Jazzy, Tina Nixon. Yep.
I don't make no assumptions.
Good,
So
you shouldn't.
I don't, I just ask questions. And then it may seem like, because I know y'all on the grind, so it's like, I should know these things.
No, that's we're all
I should know
life
these
is
things.
Busy.
Life is
These
busy,
are mine
but
right here?
yeah. Life is busy, but y'all making time for the right thing and investing into the little ones.
Oh, it looks like a headband. Good.
This is good. This is good. We ready, Josh?
Ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited, Josh. I'm excited. Good morning. Welcome to the Educational Arts Project. Good morning. I'm excited, like every Thursday morning. This is what we do each and every Thursday morning, 9 a.m. We appreciate each and every one of our new listeners. We start the show out like that. We thank all of our returning listeners, everybody who's been spreading the word, telling your friends and telling your family, welcome back to the Educational Arts Project. Thank you to all of the underwriters and the sponsors and the people who make this platform possible and all the people that work hard behind the scenes. Make sure you support 101.3, the Pulse of Milwaukee. It's a community station, community powered. A lot of great voices and a lot of great information gets disseminated over these airwaves. So, like I said, tell a friend, you tune in from no matter where you at around the world. This is what we do each and every Thursday, the Educational Arts Project. I have the honor, I have the pleasure, I have the distinguished anointment to be able to, not only like share a lot of great information and resources and I guess like current events and things that's going on around the local landscape, but I also have very deliberately opened up the chair, opened up the microphone every single week to one of my very, very, very special and very important friends or families or associates or partners, just a long list of titles, but to me, they embody what this vehicle, the Educational Arts Project, is about and what it was intended to be about from the beginning. So I just happen to know great educators who are artists and who are active, and I can call them, and it really don't even matter. It works like magic. I can call them or I can reach out, and I don't really know sometimes what's going on in their world or what they got going on, and then they say, yep, they gave me a good response. Some of them I'm still chasing down. I'm coming for you still. You're going to come and talk to my people. But everybody, has been giving me a great response. So always thank you to all my past guests and everybody who's helped to make this possible. But one of the fun things is when I open the door and open up the conversation to my guests, they always are super active and got a lot going on. And this morning is no exception. So I'm always excited for my listener audience to get connected and to like become aware to all of this great momentum that's happening, to all of this great work that's being put in on so many different levels, on so many different levels, from the education, I mean literally in the classrooms, from the arts, the performing arts, from the media arts, from blending all that in to your daily, everyday life, whether that's parenting or whether that is, community building, whatever that looks like in different spaces. We've talked about it here. And I'm excited. I'm electric. This morning is no exception. I want to introduce you all to somebody who's very dear to my heart. Not that she needs any type of introduction. Actually, she's no stranger to these microphones. No stranger to these airways. No stranger to the people. And no stranger to me. I've known this woman for a long time. And I'm excited because, you took your time out of your day to come chop it up with us and share all this great stuff that you got going on. And you came in excited. You got me more excited. Miss Shelly Conley.
Oh, you got it. Thank you.
I got it. You're welcome. You changed your name because you got married.
I did, yes. In July, yes.
I've been knowing you since we were third grade.
Third grade, since I was a Banks.
Way before you got married.
Exactly.
Yes, indeed. Mm-hmm. So, I thank you, first of all, for coming to the Educational Arts Project to share and grace us with, everything that you got going on. You're a busy lady. You got a lot going on. And let's go back. Just introduce yourself to the people. Tell them a little about, yourself, and let's tell them about third grade, all right? Let's go back to third grade.
It's a golden
Josh, she up right now? All right, she up right now. Just make sure people can hear this, all right? All right, third grade.
So gold in my ear, yeah.
Let's go way back.
Way back, yeah. Kickball before school started, right?
Yeah.
Some amazing teachers, artistic teachers.
Creative. That was a creative environment.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I remember being devastated. I just told the current teacher there when I found out that the mural that we painted, right? Mm-hmm. I was like excited, like this is going to be here forever. That each year they paint over it.
Well, it was there for some years. Though.
Oh, was it?
It was there for some years.
It
was there for a while. I used to really, really, really appreciate that mural. Yeah. That was like my first public piece of mural, possibly. Cooperative too, because we all did it together.
All did it, yeah.
And we did our little pieces. I could tell you exactly what we did. And then now it's sort of the same tradition. I think some of the other students get to enjoy that. I have a little cousin that goes there right now. That's awesome.
Hey.
And so we go way, 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 way back. And I just remember, later on, years beyond. You sort of emerged as like a really strong voice in the poetry scene in Milwaukee, and that was different for me because I always sort of, I don't know, you were kind of quiet in your own way.
I was, and even when I started going to the poetry scene, with Poetry Unplugged and whatnot. I was always, actually before Poetry Unplugged, I started going to Dasha Kelly's set at Mecca. And I went for probably a solid year without ever getting on the mic. I had my little notebook and I would write and I would leave out and they're like, do you write? I'm like, yep. Are you going to perform? Nope, not at all. So that was a solid year. And then, I got up the courage to actually get on the mic and I had my notebook in front of my face like this and I was nervous as all get out.
We're gonna talk about that poetry stuff. We're gonna talk about that evolution of your spoken word poetry path, because I know you're still getting down.
Oh, absolutely.
Still on these mics. So if somebody has seen Shelly on stage, but never had a conversation or a chance to really be introduced to you, let's just say, like, tell us who you are. Who is Shelly?
Yeah. We introduce ourselves in the workshops that we do, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit. But and we are always just very transparent in who we are and where we come from and what we've been through. So born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Born to a single mother. Mama Banks, everybody calls her still to this day. No relationship with my father at all. As a matter of fact, I never met him until I was in my late 20s, and that was me actually paying money to have someone find like who he was and where he lived and whatnot. No
Hold
relationship.
on. Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
So I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong. Push me out my chair if I'm wrong. I remember you asked me, was I Cuban? When we was like third grade.
Yeah.
And you asked me that because obviously, or maybe not to some people, but you were aware of who Fidel Castro was, maybe, or something happened, was that due to your father being of Cuban descent?
Of course, yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And because most people didn't know, of course, at that stage in our lives of who, like, I was named after.
Right.
So I just want to interject that memory.
Yeah,
back down memory lane. I'm telling you. Keep
going.
going.
Happen a lot in this
Yes, keep going.
Went to lots of different schools, and obviously met you, through some of those, Golda Meir, Morris, and was considered actually a really smart kid. That's how I got to Golda Meir.
I remember that.
I was at a different school, and I thank you. The teachers were like, "Yeah, you got to get her out of here and put her in a different school. She's not being challenged," and So they suggested Golda Meir, and that was the start of my gifted and talented years. And then somewhere along the way, in middle school, actually, I kind of went on a whole different path and got into a lot of stuff. And a lot of people did. Some people knew that, those that were closest to me, but a lot of people didn't. And
a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. I started skipping school in middle school and started.
Yeah, I know that.
You probably didn't.
I did.
Thought I was at home sick.
Just got into teenage
stuff.
Teenage
stuff. There we go. Always have loved writing. Always have loved words. Was a super avid reader when I was little. And so kind of getting into the poetry piece, in a sense it came naturally, but I was never considered myself a poet. Like, we used to write little, like, weird high school, like, stuff when I was, middle school, high school, but it was nothing you would ever perform. But it always stuck with me. So when I was going through things, I was always writing and whatnot. And so someone just said, hey, there's this open mic at Mecca, and I wound up there, and I think it really...
that was like
I credit it for who I am.
That was like a womb.
Absolutely.
Man.
Absolutely.
That was a very pivotal time for a lot of performing artists here in the city. So that's where you sort of sat back in the cut, watched what was happening, and gave yourself permission. So, like, what is that? What is that moment like of, like, coming out of that shell as a writer, from taking it from the page to the stage? What's that like? What was it like for you?
It was terrifying, honestly, like terrifying.
Because people see you on stage these days, and they don't see terrified. They don't see terrified. They see something else. So. What was that like? Like, was you terrified because you knew how strong it was going to become?
No,
was you terrified because you knew how much you was suppressing? Like, what was you terrified about? Were you terrified thinking the audience was going to not accept it? What was it coming from?
Just, I think, public speaking in general. I mean, I was kind of like, to some people I was really quiet, prior to that. And then to some people I was really like teenage obnoxious. Do you know what I mean? So I had a voice, but it wasn't a good voice, when I was a teen. So the actual, like, sharing of your personal, like, most intimate, because when I started writing, I went into all the issues I had, like, and wrote poems about all those different things, trying to work through it. So it wasn't just sharing you and who you were, because I hid behind so many different things prior to that. So it was being vulnerable, and not necessarily if people were going to accept it. I didn't even get that far. It was more just the fact of me getting on stage, sharing who I was in a personal way, some things I had never shared before. So, like heart palpitating, like, you know, nervous, terror.
Yeah. So, where is any of your stuff available online? Like any of your poetry performances? If people want to check it out, any of my listeners, if they want to see some of your stuff or hear some of your stuff, is that?
I know there's some stuff out there on YouTube just from all
what
the
do they
years.
search?
They can search probably Poetry Unplugged or Shelly Davis. It would be under at that point. So I haven't figured out. Jazzy and I have been talking about this. How to get our? I know we're old school, so I know you can like put stuff online for people to like buy and listen to.
There's this thing called the internet.
Right.
Word,
so
word.
maybe you can help me with that.
Word.
So yeah, we got to do that.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, you know, I've seen a lot of your performances. I know I haven't seen like a fraction of them, but I've seen enough to know that people should check it out. And a lot of poets not only got their start, if you will, around that era and that time, even in that space, but even a lot of those particular poets have went on and have gone on to become educators and mentors and community artists who are in also in the schools or in the education capacity in some way. And so I think that's pretty dope. And I think that speaks a lot to just the community of creatives in our, you know, in our networks. Some pretty thoughtful individuals. You know, it takes a lot. It's pretty selfless to want to teach what you gained and what's giving you a lane and what's giving you something to be able to want to teach that to other people and give that to other people is pretty selfless from my humble point of view. And that is one of the things I want to explore, because when I hit you up, I didn't know that everything was on fire right now. And then I just kind of, you know, I say, okay, well, you say, you know, 2 weeks or whatever, and then I just said, okay, let me check.
I needed a week to process.
Yeah, let me see what she. I should have took a week to process, not knowing that you was, you know, doing, knowing that you were doing a lot, but knowing that didn't know that it was like timely, that it was right now.
Yep.
So there's a lot going on right now. This is that season. This is that time where it's regeneration time. You know what I mean? It's time for that energy to resurge, because everything is melting. And we like that. And we like that. So talk a little bit about what you have that is known in a lot of different places. My Sistas KeepHer. How did that come about?
So
give me the real story, not the public story that y'all be giving to everybody else.
So a lot of people are familiar with the I Will Not Die Young campaign, and what's the other one? I can't think of it because it's early, and I haven't had all of my tea yet. But I Will Not Die Young and the other campaigns they do.
Okay.
So anyway, we've always, myself and Tina Nixon, or Miss Jazzy, everybody calls her.
Big shout out to Miss Jazzy.
Shout out! I didn't even tell her because I didn't know if it was live, so I should have.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
So we've always done a lot of work with Kwabena Nixon and Muhib Dyer. So basically, she had started doing what you call like spy days, I guess, for the girls that had gone through their program as an incentive, as a reward for opening up and sharing. And then fast forward to, I think, a year or two later, one of the principals said, like, hey, you know, these girls really, really need something. Would you be willing to, you know, put something together? And Jazzy was like, absolutely, because she was kind of already, you know, moving towards that. So she called me up and shared her vision and asked if I was down, and I said absolutely. And that was actually about 4 years ago. We just celebrated our 4 year
So
anniversary.
what is My Sistas KeepHer?
My Sistas KeepHer is structured around writing and poetry. We do workshops in the classroom with all girls, mostly. We've had a few workshops with a few guys, but mostly our target is to reach the girls. And so we contract with different schools and go in and do mostly 8-week or sometimes 16-week workshops. And we call it a life class. Like, we talk about real stuff that they might not be able to talk about, you know, to other people. We stress we're not psychologists or doctors, but both of us have, survived a lot of things that are pretty traumatic, and used writing as a way to get ourselves out of it, or past it, if you will. So our topics range from, social media. Actually, we had to add that one because it's such a big thing, with like internet bullying, and even within the schools, just lots of crazy stuff going on. So that's one we added. But we talk about healthy relationships. We talk about social responsibility. But we always start out with what we call the breakthrough, and that's where we just kind of, all of us, go back to the third grade or the fifth grade or wherever they got stuck, or maybe wherever they experienced something that they needed to get through, and we write through it and work through that. So we invite always other performers. We have guest speakers, community members come out, just to be able to show them that there are women from the places that they came from, a lot of whom have experienced similar things, and that they're not alone, and that they have the support of people around them, even though it doesn't feel like it, sometimes to them when we first go in. So that's in a nutshell who we are and what we do. I'm sure I missed some stuff. But.
Well, without doubt. Is there a site that people can check out online? Because I like to give people the information, because people are checking this out right now online, and people will be checking it out later online, so they can get a reference. They can go to it while they're listening to you talk about it. Shoot out the website right quick.
Yep. Everything, all of our contacts are My Sistas. So I'll have to spell it. I'll say it and spell it. So My Sistas KeepHer. So it's MYSISTAS. And then KeepHer, KeepHer. So our website is mysisterskeepher.com. Our email, just while I'm at it, is mysisterskeepher@gmail.com. We do have a Facebook group page as well. And then you always can connect with me on my personal page, Shelly Conley, or Tina Nixon on our personal pages. So that's mostly our...
That's important. So we're going to shout that out again. You're listening to 101.3 FM, the Pulse of Milwaukee. If you're just checking in, I'm joined by Miss Shelly Conley, who is co-founder of My Sistas KeepHer, and she's a giant on stages and on pages. And she's been down to the ground since third grade, since I ever first met her.
Yeah.
You understand me? And so now My Sistas KeepHer is a creative way to tackle a lot of great things, and what y'all doing specifically for young women is very, very, very necessary. Like you said, it came out of a demand from a principal in a school. So the demand is real. And as you know, you've been in a lot of different places with this thing for 4 years, you said now?
Yep.
So we know how real the demand is, how real the need is, how real the pain and the need for healing is. Now, what we talk about, one of the things we talk about here on this platform, I'm going to ask you a question, is how do we measure these things? So you go into these spaces, whether it's a principal, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a parent, whether it's another young person, how do you explain, or how do you measure the impact of what you're doing from a poetry and writing perspective? They're getting a skill set, or they're getting empowered, or they're getting tools, and they're getting awareness, and they're getting something that's not social studies or math or reading or spelling or testable in that same way. So how do you measure that impact or importance? Why should people even support arts in education?
That's a great question. I think it has multiple answers, but one of them is the whoever brings us into the schools. So whether it's like in one case, it's one of the social workers, the principal, whomever. We have continually gone back to different schools that we've been at because they saw the impact just in the school, where and we've seen it even just right at the beginning of a class, where everyone's like checked out. They don't know who we are. They don't know what's going on. They're not interested. Who are these chicks up here? And by the end of the class, the outpour is amazing. And so it's great that some of the administrators have had a chance to witness that firsthand. And then when they leave out of the classroom, and this has happened in several schools, there's kind of a, not for everyone, I'm not going to say it's 100%, but there's generally a culture shift where they go from being catty with each other, because obviously from our name we promote sisterhood, catty with each other, or maybe they're, fights or whatever, to hearing one girl talk about another girl and actually say, hey, hold on, why don't you talk to her? She's not here right now. Or, yeah, let's not do that. That's not really, So there's visible changes just within the schools. And then we have tweaked our curriculum a little bit along the way from surveys that we've done for the students when we go in, just so we really know at the core what are their issues. We know, because we were them, but at the core, what are their issues, so we make sure we hit those things. And then, of course, what was the other thing I was going to say? I can't remember. Go ahead.
And I think that's great. And how I was going to just ask, like, what are some of those things that you have witnessed? What are some of those things that, just say, for example, like, people should be aware of that some of you all have experienced or shared in these sacred spaces with young ladies? What some of the realities, or what just people should know in general, on the resilient side and on the other side?
I think first and foremost, just knowing that generally when someone, whether it's an adult or a kid, is acting out in some way, whether it's that they're withdrawn or they're acting out, that is stemming from something. They weren't born into the world that way. So I think just looking at people as individuals and really understanding, and that's I guess I would call it a strength of mine. It has been even in my outside work, my other life, just really respecting and understanding people for who they are as individuals. So the reality is, in almost every classroom we go in, there's girls that don't know their father. They're us. I'll say my side and Tina's side, because I'll speak for us, but those are the girls that we see. So, I was, again, no father, single mother, loves me still to death. I'm her only child, but she's was working. So I was home by myself a lot, which left a lot of room for, other people to swoop in and kind of, take me down different roads. Molestation, alcoholism, watching parents be, and this wasn't my story, but watching parents be abused, and the list goes on and on and on, and it seems like the conditions get worse the further we get, the more we go along. So I think, again, just understanding that all that you see, that bad behavior, if you call it that, comes from somewhere. It's not just because they want to be bad kids. So you have to understand that, in my opinion, first. And then I remember what I was going to say, if I can go back for a second, our incentives that we do.
There you go.
My Sistas KeepHer does 3 incentives annually for our students. So this is another way to reward them, and another way to kind of measure, like whoever is doing well in the class, whoever the administrator has seen the biggest turnaround with, perhaps, or whatnot. So we do a mother-daughter pajama party. And everything we do, we workshop it out. So it's absolutely fun. There's games, there's food, it's overnight. We have a lodge that we rent out, but we always workshop it out. And, Jazzy's mom died when she was 9. So that's one, that's another trauma. And then my mother and I, once I started doing my crazy teenage things at about, middle school, our relationship became very fractured. So we literally have just started rebuilding that, thanks to my Sistas KeepHer, in the past couple of years. So this mother-daughter pajama party is sacred to both of us for different reasons. And that is open right now, the entry for that, and you can see that on our Facebook page. But basically, the students have to write a letter, a poem, an essay, or however they want to write it, saying why they think it would be great for them and their mom to be there. Some have great relationships and some don't, and we like the mixture because, again, we're going to workshop it out. So,
what are the ages of the young ladies that you all are working with?
Mostly middle school and high school. So, like, was that 12 or so to on up.
Okay.
And then we also do a Dream Big Spa Day. We've done it at G's Clippers the first year. We've done it at another salon, local salon, Sheer Pink. And that is the administrators or whoever brought us in actually selects who's going to go and be a part of it, because we can't do all the girls. So yet, I'll put that out there.
Right.
Yet,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah.
So that's another one, and that's really just teaching them how to care for themselves. They're pampered, facials, manicures, pedicures, massages. We always have a guest speaker. You know, we had a African American doctor one year. We had an African American nurse one year. We had a stylist one year. So that's another incentive. And then the last one, which also we just opened the nomination forms for this online, is the FIRE Awards, Females in Recognition of Excellence. And that is our version, if you will, of like a Black Girls Rock ceremony. So we honor 6 women in the community and 6 students in the community. But the key to it is the community actually goes online and nominates people. So we're not hand selecting. It's not a popularity contest. We actually ask the community to nominate people.
So how do they go about doing this? And what is it called again? I know you ran through that right quick. And I just want to back up a little bit. Because, first of all, those are some engagements that people might want to be participants in. So from the mother-daughter situation to the spa situation to the award, tribute, recognition, celebration. First of all, bag up. Where can they find out the information? Shoot out the website again.
MySistasKeepHer.com. MySistasKeepher.com.
KeepHer. And they can vote and submit nominations and things like that.
And the categories, I guess I didn't mention, are, let's see if I can get them all. Arts, entrepreneurship, community involvement, sisterhood, perseverance, and image award.
Nice.
So there's a nice mix of things. You know, obviously an adult in that category might be further along than a student. We're not expecting that they have, you know, their own business and they're making, you know, millions. That's fine. That, you know, so that's why.
So that's how we want people to support. When is it? When is the actual ceremony?
The FIRE Awards is June 20. I want to say 25th. It's whatever that Sunday is. 25th or 26th.
Okay. So y'all got some time to get prepared, get ready. And let me know what we can do to support that and shoot out the information as it comes up and as it's approaching. And I don't know, maybe some of the nominees need to be on the Educational Arts Project, or maybe some of the winners, after they win. I don't know. But we would like to meet them. I would like to introduce them to my audience if they're, you know, on fire and all that fun stuff.
I love that.
Because I think, you know, a lot of what we do here is sharing solutions. Is really about dialoguing from, you know, a lot of different people's perspectives and experience, all really to get to a certain point of healing, ultimately, and of helping and motivating from a family level. So what you're doing is really important, and it's for the family level, because you empower these young ladies and they become empowered mothers. So, or big sisters or aunties, what have you. So, what kind of response do you get from families, like, you know, mothers or parents or any of that? Because I know that's sensitive. We talk about little girls, or teenage girls, and things like that. You know, that's sensitive, and that's you could open up a lot of things. You know, so what's some of the feedback you get from some of the parents?
So what's great is we actually do, when we contract with a school for 8 weeks, we actually, is it 8 or 16, one or two, we include a parent workshop in there.
There you go. That's where I was getting at. There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
Perfect.
we include a parent workshop because it's hard to, as a teen, so you're learning these things and you're growing and you're healing, and then you go back into an environment that's, you know, toxic, and that can be difficult. So
that's already incorporated in it. That's beautiful. What is something that you would share with one of my mothers who may be listening, who may have a daughter who may be in teenage mode right now, and she don't know what to do, or maybe don't know what to say? What would be one of the suggestions or a piece of wisdom? What's a jewel? What's a nugget you could share with my mothers out there listening who have daughters?
Well, I'll use
fathers.
I'll use my mom as an example, because again, our relationship was not great for probably almost 20 years. It was
today nobody could tell.
And nobody could tell.
Nobody could tell.
Exactly. So, you know, she had.
I love your mama. Your mama loved me.
Everybody loves
since third grade.
Since the third, you probably one of the longest. Yeah, one of her longest loves.
Yes, right. That's right.
So she had gone through a lot of things in her life that she never shared. She was in parent mode, you know, and so, but she says, you know, she didn't understand that her past really influenced her parenting. And until she was able to go back and start dealing with some of her own things, it was going to be, it continued to be difficult for us to come together. Because I had my own baggage, she had her own baggage. Ooh, that was me. That was just to put an exclamation point.
Right.
So so now we talk about real things. She talks about them in the classroom, and we really value each other as.
So this is an intergenerational experience. Moms is in the classroom,
Yep.
testifying and verifying real life things. Y'all not just telling them things; it's a sharing of your actual story, and I think that's super powerful. And I'm sure you all are documenting a lot of this. And I'm sure you all going to share it and put it somewhere so people can check it out.
Yeah.
Eventually.
That's
powerful.
Let me write that down.
Yeah. And also, for the people that are not in Milwaukee that want to support, let's just jump that out right quick. We know the website, sistaskeepher.com. What do y'all need? What's the goals? Like, what's the ultimate goal? What's the ultimate grand vision?
A great question.
Let's get there.
Too.
I bet. Let's get there.
Ultimate goal is that we actually train other young ladies, maybe who have graduated from our workshops, or maybe just women in the community, to do what we do. Because there's only, including my mom and our assistant, there's 4 of us. But, we can only be in so many places at one time. So ideally, that's our goal, is to have.
Shout out some of the places where y'all at, because the schools that where y'all at, it's important. And I always, I don't contract or consult with schools as much as I used to in life, but the schools that had the wherewithal, the understanding to put me in these classrooms, to put me in these workshops, I would give them a lot of credit, and I would always, tell the people who were responsible for opening these doors and opening these opportunities for me to learn from their students and to be able to impart a little bit of my experience with these students. I didn't ever take that lightly at all, because they knew what I was there for, and I would be in there dropping bombs. Dropping bombs are still going off right now. I would just sneak in sleeper bombs in. So big shout out to all those great people. What are some of the schools that you're at? Give them some credit, give them some love, because some of my listeners may have students there. Maybe they say, hey, well, I didn't know Sistas KeepHer there, and they can get their students involved, they can get their daughters involved, and things like that. So where are some of the schools y'all at or going to be?
Absolutely. So we shout out to Transition High School, because that was where we started. That was where our first class was, and we always call that those are our babies. They're all our babies, but those are like our big sisters, because that is where we started. So y'all have
that cohort that's up and graduating out of
absolutely
the program almost. I understand.
Yep.
That's good.
And that's one thing we do, and again, we can't do it 100%, but we always try to make sure they know that once they're out of a workshop, once we're gone, they're still connected to us.
They're still part of the family.
We reach out. That's where the incentives are important. When we do stuff like volunteer at Homer Blow's big birthday annual bash, we recruit girls to come. When we're at the gathering, we recruit girls to come. Because we want them to continue to see different things and also give back in their own way. So transition we're in currently, I think for another maybe 9 weeks or so. Of course, the school year is wrapping up. And then we actually kick off at Vincent today at 1 o'clock. And then we start my alma mater, Samuel Morris. I'm so excited. I haven't been back. Exactly.
Our.
Yes.
Alma mater.
Very excited. So we'll be there. Shout out to Kathleen Pollock, who
awesome.
Just got there this year.
That's fun, the full circle, to be able to go back. And you just said that's where it went a little crazy for you.
Went a little crazy.
That's went a little crazy right there in middle school. Now you get to go back
and see me sitting in that
chair.
There
you go, and talk to ain't that deep? And tell them that, hey, one day you gonna be me talking to the next you.
Exactly.
And giving that is so powerful. Sometimes it's we don't know the seeds we planted. You know what I mean? And sometimes we don't know the seeds that's been planted in us. And that's part of what our experience was coming up in those environments where we did have certain teachers and community individuals that did plant those seeds and created a certain insulation for us to grow and to become and to flourish, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of
you as well. I shared that with you a while ago.
I'm super proud of you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I only know this is just the beginning right here. I know this is only, it's just the beginning. So I'm excited. I'm excited for everything that is growing into? Springing into. So another question. You talk to a lot of women, not just young ladies in your educational experience, because I know that creates like a, how do you say, like a, I don't know, like a, you become like an oracle, if you will, for women, for therapy, for healing, for conversational, because you put yourself in a vulnerable state, and you shared your pain. You've also shared your power, and that gives other women inspiration, not just women, but other women in particular, to get their power and to own their own power. So, like sometimes on the Educational Arts Project, we cover a lot of realms about like just the creative world in general, and then we talk about the business world of the creative world, the business side of the creative world, and how creative with the business you have to become, and things like that. So just give a little bit of insight on taking something that you learned as a passion that sort of helped you liberate your own voice, and then you turned it into something that could help liberate others. But you don't do this for free. You don't do this for fun. I mean, you do it for fun, and you do it for free, to get free and to feel free and make you free to do what you want to do and wake up when you want to wake up and that fun stuff, right? But you also do it because it's an enterprise, and it's enterprising, and it helps you to grow and to flourish and to feed your other dreams and things you want to do. And maybe that's a conversation as we could revisit maybe one day with Miss Jazzy and her fired up self. But I want you to just touch on a little bit. Like what's that step? What's those steps like? We got a lot of creatives, we got a lot of artists that tune in and check in and chime in on our conversations, that hear what we talk about, and some of them listen strictly because we talk about the business of what it is. And we talk to some pretty successful entrepreneurs and people like Dasha have been on the show and talk about how she formed an organization, or how she took one thing and it led to another, and then it led to things. That's just the creative artist's life, if you will. And so being free in that way will open you up all kind of opportunities. So what's some of the things that you would be able to impart or say to creators after listening that may be thinking about taking a step into starting a business or starting a organization or any of that sort of persuasion? Like what would you say?
So for me,
honest.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, outside of the arts, I've been managing people since I was like 17 years old.
You heard that?
So
she's been managing people since 17.
No, wow, that makes me feel old, but oh well.
Wow.
So I definitely, not just managing people, but managing businesses. Unfortunately, I don't own them.
Let's be clear.
So I have
that's your perspective, though. And looking back, you can say, hey, I didn't just have a job. I was managing people since 17. That's something that the average 17-year-old might not equate to having a job and having a life skill to be able to translate to. Keep going.
No, so all of that I carry with me, and I still manage. I actually my 2 off days, if you will, work 5 days a week. My 2 off days are all dedicated to my Sistas KeepHer. So I really don't have off days, but it's something that I love and I'm passionate about. So I think if you're thinking about doing anything as a business, you have to take it seriously.
There are no off days.
There are no off days in real life. Shout out to my husband, because I swear,
if you're thinking about starting a business, let's be clear. There are no off days. You got to do work at 3 a.m, 6 a.m, whatever it is, you got to do it. And so don't have to do it, because if you want it to be successful, it is going to be your legacy, whether it's good or bad. You have to grind. It's a hustle. Luckily I have that kind of backing already in my experience to know, as a store manager, whatever needs to be done, I'm accountable. So if I'm gonna give that to my job, and I can do everybody's job, if need be.
Yep,
that's right.
So if I'm gonna be accountable to my job, then I definitely have to give the same, if not more, dedication to my business. Period. And you have to, something that I've had to do that's more Jazzy's side, if you will, more her personality, is the networking and the promoting of your business, and asking for money from people, because we do all our incentives. Just to say quick, are free to our students. So like the Fire Awards, just an example. I think we have a total of space for like 200 people, and we like 60-75% of that to be students. And so we ask the community to actually sponsor the students. So
the mother-daughter situation is free for the mother and daughter.
Absolutely.
The spa days are free for the young ladies.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And the vendors donate their time.
That's beautiful.
All the vendors, the nail techs, and all of that.
So shoot out the information again, how people can support if they want to get involved with the situation, they want to participate, and they want to get their families and their daughters and their aunties and their mamas and their
grandmamas too.
Grandmamas, absolutely. Big shout out to the GGs and the grannies and the nanas and the abuelas. We love you so much. How can they get in touch with the organization to support?
Yeah, absolutely. So on our website, again, mysistaskeepher.com, there is a button at the top, the top options or whatever for donate.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one way that the community has been great at giving back to us. So we can put on the caliber of events that we do for the students. And then...
so do you and Miss Jazzy perform at any of these... Not perform, but okay, so like at the Fire Awards, do y'all do some poetry?
Fire Awards, we don't.
Okay.
But we bring in, like last year, Joe Jordan was there.
Okay.
Dasha Kelly had some of her sugar babies, she calls them, perform. Two young ladies did a group poem.
Do you and Miss Jazzy have like material?
We do.
That y'all go in on stage?
Oh, wait, no. So she hosted it.
No, I'm saying, do y'all have material, just sidebar from the shows and the events over there? Do you and her have material that y'all go back and forth on stage?
Oh,
like, do y'all
we've tried it.
Poems
We haven't ever sat down, so that's where our commitment kind of failed. We've tried it a couple of times, and we always just kind of...
All right, let it be known, that's something that I think that would be incredible.
Okay, I should have had a pen with me. So
I think that would be incredible.
I
need to tell my guests to start bringing notebooks and take notes. But I think that would be incredible, and I think the people would really appreciate it. And maybe, when y'all slow down a little bit, y'all can put that together. I don't know, but I think that would be amazing to see. I would pay for it. I would pay to see that.
Yeah, right now we just have a...
just you and her, though. It can't be nobody else.
Yeah,
just you and her on stage. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. And can I say this real quick?
Sure.
The other thing, as far as support goes, is just that if you have a desire to have us in your school, whether you're an administrator, whether you're a parent or whatnot, talk to somebody in the school and say, hey, there's this great organization doing great things with these young ladies, and I really would like to have them at this school.
What if they can't have you for 9 weeks? Or they say, I just want y'all to come for this one day to talk to these 4 girls, because it's crazy.
Yeah, we do. We do like one day, or like Morris, we're doing 3 weeks. We're doing a shorter one. We do 1 day workshops, and then coming up this summer, we're going to have several community workshops. So community workshops are open to any ladies, young ladies, not young ladies.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is free to the to whoever comes up. All our classes
it's like community
classes. Yeah.
Awesome. Just ladies though. Just women.
Ladies. Yeah.
So let's talk about that dynamic for a minute. Let's talk about that dynamic of you all do these women-specific services, the service that you all provide, the outreach that you all do. I need you to talk to my fellas for a minute. I need you to talk to the brothers. I need you to talk to the fathers. I need you to talk to the men who are in these women's lives, who are in these little sisters' lives. What's some of the things that you think are important that the brothers need to be aware of that may not get shared with us because we don't get into those all-women spaces, if you will? So let's just talk from an adult perspective. Let's not even talk about the kids right now. Let's not talk about the young teenage girls. Let's not talk about that for a second. I'm going somewhere else.
Okay, I'm listening. Let me take this for my seat.
Yeah, give us some insights on some things that the brothers need to know, and that the brothers should be aware of that we may not be privy to because we're not in the sister circles per se. Now, this might be cheating. I might be asking you to break the code because I know y'all not supposed to tell. I'm just kidding. I don't know what happens. I don't know what y'all do. But
that is one of our rules. What happens in here stays in here.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, yeah. See, I get it. I'm sure. So step outside that secret society for a second. And help the brothers understand a few things in relations to some things they should know about their partners. You know, because I have a lot of women voices that articulate a lot of great things on this platform, and one of the things I get feedback from the brothers is when the sisters start talking about relationships, they really appreciate it. Because I have really, really, really smart women talking on the show. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of insight and understanding that is kind of missing, I think, in our family dynamics. Mm-hmm. And it all comes from lack of communication. So if we can help facilitate any of that to this morning, on a very minor level, you know, you don't have to go too deep, but just what some of the things that, you know, and I don't even think it may be advice. It ain't even got to be that level, but just insight mm-hmm. and understanding. What's some of the things that the brothers should be aware of?
Well, again,
be honest.
I'll speak from my personal experience.
I like that. I like that. Everything, you know, it all goes back to self. In reality, everything goes back to self. Mm-hmm. And so I appreciate that approach. You've done that like 40 times on the show, and I like it. Keep going.
So we all, I mean, it's obvious. Broken homes, broken families, right? So I was one of those kids. And so just the dynamic of not having a male figure in the household ever created a thought process for me that's been positive in some ways, in a lot of ways, but also negative in a lot of ways.
Elaborate on that.
That is like the, you know, I started working when I was 12 years old. Started managing when I was 17 years old. I have always hustled, you know, whatever, grind, whatever you want to call it, because I knew I had to take care of myself, even at a younger age. And what that didn't leave room for was the understanding of what a relationship looks like and what those dynamics look like, because I didn't see it, you know. And even, I have three uncles actually, but they all live out of state, so I just never saw the dynamic of mother, father, kids, like, period. So unfortunately, you know, it created this thing of like, well, I can do this all by myself and I don't really need any help, which is not really positive for God. You know, for a guy to be like, oh, I'm just, you know, I'm just here.
There's no balance.
She's straight.
Yeah.
No balance, Libra, no balance. We didn't even talk about that.
We didn't talk about that. It's another show. But we getting there. Because that has to do with exactly what I'm talking about, the balance. So, the balance. What do the brothers need to know?
What do they need to know? See,
because you was going into your personal.
Yeah. So I think just understanding whoever you're dealing with in whatever way, really not just the surface, and they might not share it, you know, because they might not have dealt with it themselves.
They share it with each other.
They share with each other.
So that's my question. That's where we're going. What do we need to know? Not the secrets, but give us the insight. Give us the understanding.
The understanding, I think. Well, one, I think, kind of what I said a little bit, but there is this superwoman
complex.
Maybe
reality.
I think it's a reality. Reality.
Yeah, it's both. Okay.
It's both. Yeah. And so I think there's something about, because, you know, I think men are men, you know, so I think there's something about the woman having a comfortable place to be vulnerable. If she doesn't, for me anyway, if I don't feel that, if I don't feel like I have a comfortable space with you being a little bit vulnerable also, then I'm not going in, you know. So you're only gonna get, you know, a third or a half or whatever the percentage is.
So if you had to break that down, like instructions on a you know, because men are men, like you said, right? Because men are men. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean, but I get your point. All right. So if you had to break that down, like A, B, C, because, you know, men are men. So,
right, okay.
So how would you said something critical. Break it down.
So I would say A, be open to listening, not always thinking you need to solve it, because I think that's a common male trait. Is right or wrong? Maybe, yeah. Okay. So just be open to listen and maybe be a little bit more vulnerable than what you're used to being. And in doing that, for most women, I would think they would give, it's a give take. So that'd be one. Two, B, I don't know if I'm doing A, B, or numbers, but two, I would say just understanding for both of y'all all the baggage that you're bringing into the relationship, and how it might affect your relationship, and can you actually deal with that on both ends, men and women? Is that something you're willing to deal with? That she might be watching a movie and a scene comes on that is something that she's dealt with. I still literally, not in public, but I do, when I see certain movies where like families are broken and then they come together at the end and it's all happy, I shed a tear because I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's what I always wanted, So anyway, just, knowing what the baggage is that you're bringing into it. And I think that, I don't know, that's all I got.
That's enough for today. That's a great recipe right there. And I appreciate you breaking the silence. No, I'm just kidding. That was great. But, that's important for us as men to be able to like listen and step back and ask those critical, ask for help, I guess you could say. You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling you, like, I've got feedback from other shows and sisters, like, say certain things relationship-wise, and brothers be like, yo, that was great. That was, what she... And I'm like, wow, y'all was really paying attention. Yeah. So, fellas, you just got some more insight, because I know she would give you some real good jewelry. So apply it, put it into your life, implement that. And support my Sistas KeepHer.com. And make sure you tune in next week, the Educational Arts Project. Never a sleeper episode, ever. My guest list is the best list. It's crazy. Each and every week, right here. Joshua, having fun, man. And, we want y'all to make sure you support 101.3. Everything is growing. Everything is flowing. It's spring. And my Sistas KeepHer is on fire. And keep me informed of what's going on, okay? Absolutely. So I can keep shooting out stuff as it's coming up, leading up into the award ceremony and all that fun stuff. All right? And I appreciate what y'all doing. And I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
Keep it up.
All right.
All right? We out of here, the Educational Arts Project. Joshua, keep them rocking all day, all right? It's great. Y'all have a great day. We out. Peace.
That went faster than I thought it was. I was like, an hour. Oh, Lord.
See?
But I made it.
See?
A good pilot. So.
I know, and we could have did that for another hour because all we're doing is, sharing the greatness. That's it. You got a lot of that.
Oh, look, I left a little curly hair there. I'll take that off there.
Antolia.
Man, almost no one knows that one. This is the only one that out loud in public still.